level, we are trying, because I would say trying, to create a new type of carrier in the US and elsewhere in the world. How do we do that? So Helium essentially does two things. The first one is we have a mobile carrier, which is called Helium Mobile. It's an MVNO that we launched in partnership with T-Mobile in 2023, at the end of 2023. And together with that, we also federate networks. We federate Wi-Fi networks. We started into the IoT world back in 2018, then moved over CBRS, and then we decided strategically to move over Wi-Fi and federate Wi-Fi network. Like you might, I'm sure that for many people that have been in the audience and they have experience in the industry is something no new, meaning there's been other people try to do that before in many other ways. So why are we different? Why is Helium different than the cable guys and other people trying to do the same thing? The difference is in the deployment model. So what I mean with that is that rather than go out and own infrastructure, we are what I would say an infrastructure-less carrier. We work with partners, some of them are actually in the audience today, and we onboard their Wi-Fi network into our bigger network. So, and why would anybody do that? Is because there is a blockchain incentive for people to join this network. So we use blockchain technology to do two things. One is to enhance monitorability of quality of service. That is something that I would love to spend some time with the gentleman for NVIDIA to talk about what we're doing there, especially regarding AI and quality of service assurance for connectivity. But we also use blockchain for incentivizing connectivity, which means people that decide to join Helium will get rewarded from the chain for proportionally to the amount of traffic that they ship into the chain. So traffic from who exactly? So today, the network serves, is a multi-tenancy network, and it serves many carriers. We have agreements with 2 of the 3 big MNOs, and as well as many MVNOs, including our own. They use the network on a daily basis. What does it mean? Quick stats, we have 120,000 access points deployed in the US. And I shouldn't say deployed, I should say access points that join the network, because we don't actually own any of them. But through that cohort of access points, we are able to serve about 3 million, we just top off 3 million people in a day last weekend. So we've been growing on I think 800% year over year, or something like that, and a pretty steep curve there. We are live in all sorts of tier venues, from Baltimore Airport all the way to like thousands and thousands of coffee shop or restaurants all over the country. So going back to what Helium is fundamentally a challenge to say how can we create a different type of carrier that doesn't own infrastructure but federates infrastructure. Tangentially to that, the reason why we're here is because one of the biggest problem with that type of value prop is indoor connectivity and in-building connectivity. So as we work together with the carriers to grow the network, we found out that this way of federating network creates a very interesting data point for situations where indoor connectivity is needed and where traditional legacy systems might need a little help. And I'm not purposely using the word replacement because that's not what it's all about. But standards like Wi-Fi has grown so much in terms of capability in the past years that now a convergence, an integrated play between different networks, I should say interoperability between networks is becoming not only something that it should happen, it's actually happening. So if this venue would be part of the Helium network, probably half of the people sitting at this conference will be already connected without doing any captive portal, without doing all the things that we all do. And in real time, your quality of service metrics will be monitorable, and it will be brought back to the carriers they are partnered with Helium for them to do intelligent decisions about.
Just as a practical matter.
I told you it was complicated, right? That's why it took 5 minutes.
I get it. Well, I don't get it. But the point is, I'm trying to understand it. And one of the things is that the carriers are now trying to get everything they possibly can by reducing the rent on their towers, by not building new sites, by negotiating with landlords to buy the sites to, sort of work down the cost of the network. So they really don't want to build another site. So if you've got a convenience store, and behind the convenience store, they've got a bunch of EV chargers. And there's a tremendous amount of usage while they're watching a video while their car is charging for 3.5 hours. The opportunity for you to capture that traffic is there. But is that Wi-Fi offload? Is that pass point? How does that work as an alternate network for you?
Great question. And I think that there are ingredients for the recipe, and there is the end result of what you're preparing. So the ingredients of this is definitely the maturity of the Wi-Fi standard, especially Wi-Fi 7. There is Passpoint, which is this way to seamlessly onboard the customers without captive portals, without passwords. So the fact that now that standard is being adopted by all the carriers and is automatic. We have Passpoint profiles on all the phones. If you have an AT&T phone or T-Mobile or Verizon, there is Passpoint profiles in there that allows you to automatically connect. So those are the pieces of the recipe, the ingredients of the recipe. The end result for the carrier is the ability to decide dynamically how and when do I serve a user, depending on what is your current run load, depending on what is the quality of service that that person is experiencing in that specific moment. So in your case, if you are in a convenience store with an IV charging in the back, if there is a run load high and you have a Wi-Fi that is reporting a quality of service whatever, higher than a specific threshold, and we can get it as deep as we want there, then the carrier will serve that customer, and it should serve their customer. On your comment on cost, I think that the traditional carriers are in an interesting position because they will continue to invest whatever they need to invest in specific tiers, but I think we also, specifically in the US, how hard it is to build a network and to continue to open a network. The last one that they try, we all know how many billions were spent there and how many billions are left in liabilities to tower leases. So we all know that it's hard.
Right, but what strikes me is tying Joe's perspective together with this is he mentioned one carrier. By the way, we just didn't endeavor to have a ton of carriers here because I don't want to hear again we're not paying for it. So, but at the end of the day, Joe talked about T-Mobile, and they seem like the enlightened carrier here, but I think people here are still going to T-Mobile and they're saying, well, yeah, we're not going to give you a radio just, because we like you. T-Mobile seems like the enlightened flavor here. Is that what you're finding in that? Is that, AT&T enlightened on that also? We know Verizon is not part of this yet, and so they haven't found religion. But where are you with T-Mobile and AT&T?
Well, I mean, without disclosing things I don't think we should, I think that sticking to what we can say publicly, we did an announcement with AT&T in April, so we can find what we said over there. And essentially there were a twofold announcement. One was this idea of offload, which has been there forever, of course. The second one is this concept of quality of service. So from our perspective, we are partnering with T-Mobile on the roaming, on the MVNO side, and we do that as part of the network. AT&T also is playing a big role in this converged, integrated world because they are in real time deciding where and how to load users on the system. Which, by the way, this is at the very beginning. Probably all of you, we've been hearing about wireless convergence for 15 years now, and we're finally there, I think. And I think that is going to take some time in order to get it right. And that means all sorts of things. I mean, one of the things I wanted to touch on, I hope we can get like a couple of minutes spending today is, and many of the people here, they are in that space, is emergency communications. And the fact that there are places where, because of the inability for indoor building, for outside in type of propagation, why would I not be able to use an existing Wi-Fi network in a case of emergency comms, even if it's just data? I'm not talking about getting into the E911 type of thing, but in terms of like data usage, why? Tell me why in 2026 I cannot use, an emergency responder that has an issue inside a building, it pulls up the phone, it says 20 Wi-Fi network, it can get in any of them? Why? The answer is that you can. And actually, we actually serve as Helium. We serve about 20,000 FirstNet users a day because it's part of the pass point. But there is a lot that needs to be done in terms of like prioritization and quality of service for that type of segmentation, network slicing, AI type of like slicing of the network, like converged across multi-access.
But I'm not trying to give you the basketball to go to the hoop
No,
necessarily
please.
here, but it seems like using a layer blockchain with all the networks that you don't have to go buy or build yourself, getting to what Joe was talking about with a layer of agentic and generative AI that you could add to that nicely on top of what you're already doing. And it seems like you might have an opportunity to shortcut a lot of what the carriers can't shortcut. In other words, you seem like you might be ahead of the game because you're not going out to build the whole network. You're not Dish. You're not going to go build a network and spend all that money and then screw all the contractors too. But at the end of the day, you're in a situation where you've got a network and it's a converged network that other people have built.
Yeah, that's certainly a way to look at it. And I think we are looking on some of the AI use cases that were brought up even earlier as a way to, once you have the footprint, what you do with that and what are the different things that you can do on top of that, that intelligence that I just say about how and when you move a users across access networks and not just within the RAN per se. On a standalone or no standalone is actually, can I do a multi-access? There is all sorts of standardization effort within the 3GPP, ATS, SSS, all sorts of things that will take care of that. But I think you're correct that our thesis here, which again is yet to be proved, is that we can build a network without owning infrastructure, guaranteeing the best quality of servicing, lower down the cost to serve, and essentially allow us to grow with the subscriber base.
And allow my agents to go out and search, to allow me to search.
Also because
generative
none of the stuff that we all use in our phone is there, right? Like all the Claude and ChatGPT that you can do, it's all about talking to someone until we get split rendering. So, I mean, if I'm in a building and Wi-Fi gives a latency on average 2 to 3x lower than what a RAN does usually,
right.
I mean, I think all of us were getting overly anxious about not the spinning wheel, the cloud that gives me an answer to be as quickly as possible. You can see how the monetization is happening in that space with the latency. That's where they're trying to monetize. So that access and the connectivity layer needs to be optimized for the user experience, and it needs to be seamless. I will say this until this doesn't happen. The user doesn't care how it's connected. They shouldn't care.
Agreed.
So why stop this religion about, oh, I know exactly, you need, our job is to connect the user to the best connection.
If I didn't have Wi-Fi at home, I'd have no cellular coverage. So,
and there's multiple places in which the reverse, in which absolutely there is value into having a DAS system and having indoor coverage. So that's why this is not like an either or, but we should, I think that religiously thinking that we have to have one stack that does it all, it's like, that's just not the way it is. And you see now, D2D is becoming a reality, so you'll have D2D, you'll have macro, you'll have DAS, you have small cells, you have Wi-Fi 7, and you'll have God knows what else we're going to have. We're going to have long-range IoT, we're going to have Halo. I don't know if some of you are following the Wi-Fi and long-range Wi-Fi. It's like Halo might be the next thing for a lot of IoT devices. So it's like...
So I would encourage people that are here that are thinking alternatives to chat with Mario and his team about what that might be able to bring to what you're already doing in your daily lives, because I think that that's an important aspect, that Wi-Fi can be an adjunct to all the things we're doing.
Thank you, absolutely.
Good. Thank you, Mario. Appreciate the time. We got to stay on schedule.
Absolutely.
And we're ready for our next panel. Please come up.
Thank you, Serge.
Thank you. Great.